Hello, folks. I apologize for being a little bit late on getting started with our PEUC meeting today. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties getting started. Going to give it a little bit of time for all the attendees to trickle in. Once we do turn it live, it takes a few minutes for everybody who's waiting in the waiting room to be allowed in. So before I turn this over to our panelists, we're just going to give it a few minutes. My name is Ty Stockton. I'm the communications manager at the Department of Workforce Services. I want to thank you for tuning in to have your questions about the pandemic emergency unemployment compensation answered. We've had a few questions come in over the email, and we'll get to those in a little bit here. We also have a presentation that we're going to give you to kind of walk through the steps of getting registered for the PEUC, which is the 13-week extension for regular unemployment insurance benefits. We'll run through that. We've got representatives from the unemployment insurance division here to give you the information about that. And then as soon as we're done with that, we'll open it up to questions and answers. Down at the bottom of your screen, you might have to hover your mouse over it, but there's a Q&A feature. If you use that Q&A feature to ask your questions, please use that, not the chat. Use that Q&A and ask your question in the box that comes up, and then we'll try to get to all the questions that come in today. If we don't have time to get to all of them, the reason to use that Q&A is because we can save all those Q&A questions, and then we can answer those later, and we'll send those back out to everybody who's registered through your email that you used to register. We'll also post that on our website at wyomingworkforce.org. We have a town halls page, and we're posting all the information from all the town halls, including the presentations that we give, as well as the questions and their answers on that town halls page as soon as we get those questions, as well as the recording of the town hall. So if you want to go back and watch any of those are out there. And I actually can show you I can show you the page that you'll go to as soon as I can figure out my screen share here. I'll show you where you can go to get those questions answered. We also have frequently asked questions on that page that you can find answers to questions that might not be answered in this town hall. So on our main website here, wyomingworkforce.org, right up here in the sidebar, there's the virtual town hall series. If you click on that, that has all the questions and answers from previous town halls and the recordings. And then if you go back to the main page, this workforce resources, that page gives you a bunch of information, including our frequently asked questions. So if you go to those pages, hopefully any questions we don't get a chance to answer here today, you can find those there. But I have Amy from UI here to walk you through a presentation. So as soon as I stop the share on this one, I can turn it over to Amy and let her walk you through the presentation. And Amy, just as a clarification, you're having me run that presentation, correct?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, let me get that up on the screen. Oops. And I will let you take over from there. Sorry, it's taking it a second to, there we go. Except I'm showing the wrong screen, I'm sorry. Sorry for the hiccups this morning. There, is that better?
That looks good.
All right.
All right, well, good morning. My name is Amy, and I am one of the Claims Center supervisors and the federal coordinator for the state of Wyoming, and we're going to talk about the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program this morning. This is a program that's a part of the CARES Act that the federal government has put into place. So we'll start off just with what is PEUC. The CARES Act of 2020 created a new temporary federal program called Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation. It's a lot easier to say PEUC, so we've shortened it. PEUC provides up to 13 additional weeks of benefits to individuals who have exhausted all rights to any regular unemployment compensation. Oh, next screen, Ty, please. I was going fast. There we go. So it provides up to 13 additional weeks of benefits to individuals that have exhausted all rights to regular unemployment compensation and who meet the other eligibility requirements of the CARES Act. So to meet the requirements of this program, you must be unemployed from your most recent employer through no fault of your own. The same as with any other unemployment program, you always have to be unemployed through no fault of your own. You must be able, available, and actively seeking work for each week that you certify for payment. You must be registered for work with the workforce service closest to you. In Wyoming, you can go online to wyomingworkforce.org or actually Wyoming at Work is the direct location to get there. You must contact a minimum of 2 employers each week to meet the actively seeking work requirement. And if you are monetarily eligible for regular unemployment in any state, even if it's a lesser dollar amount, you cannot collect the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation benefits. These are just for individuals that are not eligible for for regular unemployment programs. The program starts effective March 29th per US DOL. That is as far back as we can go for the program, and it ends on December 26th of 2020. That does not mean that you collect benefits from March 29th through December 26th. It simply means that you can apply for benefits in between those dates. Again, it only covers 13 weeks of unemployment. So this program must be established against your most recent monetarily eligible regular unemployment claim. It does not matter what state that is in. Whichever one is the most recent, you have to file the extension against that claim. It has to be a claim that has a benefit year end date of July 1st of 2019 or more recent. We cannot go back on a claim that is earlier than that. And that reaches back pretty far. That was almost a year ago. So if you've had a regular unemployment claim within that time frame up until right now, and you've exhausted your rights to regular unemployment, we can try for an extension against that most recent claim. One thing to note, the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program cannot be used to extend PEUC. The Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program is completely separate, and that is for individuals that did not qualify for a regular unemployment claim. So how do you apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Program? PEUC, we're going to call it the shortened version. Right now, we are still programming this. We are working diligently to get that up and running as fast as we can. We know everybody is anxiously awaiting that program. Please check on the website, wyomingworkforce.org, for updates. As soon as it is available, that bulletin will be posted out there. It will also be in the media, the news outlets, even on Facebook. So double check. We'll let you know as soon as it is available. Once it is, you can apply for PEUC online or over the phone. If you choose to go online, our direct website is wyui.wyo.gov. I would recommend that, as there is no wait time. You can go in to the website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to apply, and you can get right in. If you choose to file over the telephone, the direct number to the Claims Center is 307-473-3789. We do have an alternate number that is on the wyomingworkforce.org website for a second Claims Center. If you're not able to get through to this one, I would highly recommend trying the other number. I apologize, I don't have that memorized, so I don't have that number readily available. If you do choose to file over the phone, keep in mind that if your last name begins with A through M, you need to file that on Monday, Wednesday, or before noon on Friday. And if your last name begins with N through Z, you want to file that phone claim Tuesday, Thursday, or afternoon on Friday. And that's to help the amount of calls that we have coming in at one point in time so that we can more quickly answer your call. So after you've established the claim for PEUC, you do need to complete weekly certifications, continued claims for payments. You'll need to do that online as the PEUC program is not available on our IVR telephone system. And you can file each weekly certification as soon as the calendar week for which you are filing has ended. You have 14 days to timely submit your weekly certification for payment, so do that as quickly as possible. Again, the calendar week has to be over, but then you can do it immediately. I would recommend that you go out there every single week to file your weekly certification so you don't get behind. And that'll be on the same website, wyui.wyo.gov. All right, next slide.
One moment, Amy. I was just going to let folks know what that toll-free number for the Claims Center is. It's 888-674-7699. And you can find that on it's right there at the very top of our website at wyomingworkforce.org as well. But it's 888-674-7699.
Thank you, Ty. All right. So just to ease everybody's minds, the additional $600 payment for the FPUC is applied on top of the PEUC amount. It's not something that you have to apply for separately. It will already be there, but remember that this program only goes from March 29th to July 25th. So that $600 will not go beyond July 25th. All right, so now we've just got a couple of extra important things we want to share with you, and then we can move on to questions.
This is Lori. I'm also with the Claims Center. One thing that I wanted to remind everybody is if you are working part-time, you must report the hours you work and the amount you earn in the week you physically performed the work. This is very important because if you fail to report those earnings and we find out down the line that you misreported, it could be determined fraud, and we don't want to get into that scenario. So make sure that when you answer the question, did you work this week, you say yes, and you give us the number of hours and the gross amount of pay. Next thing, child support and federal income tax are withheld from PEUC payments, so you need to be aware of that. And if your place of employment calls you back to work and you refuse, you may be denied benefits. You cannot continue to stay on unemployment when you have been recalled back to work. If you receive wages from your employer due to the payroll protection plan or that small business loan, you must report those wages and hours associated with the wages for the weeks you were paid. Even if you did not actually work during the week, you're being compensated. You have to report those as earnings. You may have an overpayment due to those wages, so please contact us if you were paid for weeks that you filed for unemployment. Again, this is to keep the integrity of the program in place. We're all in this together. We're here to help, and we realize this is a stressful situation, but we're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy and Lori. Appreciate all that information. And hopefully that has helped a lot of you folks out there listening. We also have some helpful links that you can find on our website, mostly just straight from the main page, the wyomingworkforce.org. We've got resources. I showed you those earlier. The filing system for filing your claims is for all. It doesn't matter whether you're filing for regular unemployment, PEUC, or anything else. It's all through that wyui.wyo.gov. We'll go ahead and get into the questions now. Again, if you want to ask a question, use that Q&A feature down at the bottom and click on that. Add your question in there, and we'll get to you as quickly as we can. I'm going to ask these questions, and it may take a minute for the folks in the UI office to figure out who's going to answer it, but bear with us and we'll jump into them. This first question we have, the question was, do we still look for at least 2 jobs per week if we're collecting PEUC?
Yes, per the guidance from the U.S. Department of Labor, regular rules apply to the extension, and yes, you would have to seek work with a minimum of 2 employers each week.
Thank you. You know, the PEUC system is a very complex system, so it's taken a while to get the programming correct for it and make sure that we're sending folks the correct amount of money. It's not in place yet. Again, please watch the wyomingworkforce.org website for updates on that, or our Facebook page. But due to the delay of the PEUC system, will we be able to receive backdated payments from when the CARES Act was active back in March? And if so, what will we be currently working? And if so, what if we will be currently working in the near future, but still behind on bills that have been waiting for the financial help of the PEUC to be available?
We are allowed to go back to March 29th when the program began. We will look at each one of those weeks to make sure that the requirements were met, that the individual was able, available, and actively seeking work for each of those weeks.
Thank you. Do you have to have the work search contacts going back to March 29th? So if you're backdated, do you have to have records of reaching out to those contacts for trying to seek work all the way back on those backdated claims?
Yes, we will need those. Our system requires that.
Thank you. So this person says, my unemployment ran out the very last week of January. Would I still be eligible for the 13-week extension?
Yes, the unemployment claim may have exhausted back that far, but as long as the benefit year ending date was July 1st of 2019 or more recent, we can try for an extension on that claim.
Thank you. Does one get paid for the weeks their unemployment was exhausted? So I think this goes back to the backdating. So, and I believe you've answered that. Yes, you can backdate those PEUC claims. The next question is, all my past claims that I have filed all say issue on file. What should I do? And actually, I believe I can answer this one. In most cases, when it says issue on file, the people in the UI area are working to get that situation figured out. If they have a question, they will contact you. If it says issue on file in your status screen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amy and Lori, but if it says issue on file, you don't have to do anything. We will contact you. So you don't have to call the call center or the main UI number. We'll call you and figure it out if it's something that they can't figure out on their end. But that should be taken care of by them. Is that correct?
That is correct. I would add a little caveat to that. If that issue on file has been sitting there for more than 2 weeks, go ahead and reach out to us so we can investigate what is holding it up.
Perfect, thank you. How long will it take to get a payment once the PEUC claim is filed? Will there be a 1-week waiting period after being approved?
There is no waiting week involved with this program. However, after a claim has been filed on the website, there is work for our staff to do on this end to approve the claim. So we have to process the claim, paperwork will be sent out. There's really not a time frame to give, but there should be a quick turnaround.
Great, thank you. Will the entire amount of retro pay beginning the week ending of April 4th be paid in one lump sum if somebody has a backdated claim?
All of those weekly certifications will need to be filed, unlike the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, where they were able to file for those weeks on the initial application. This is like regular unemployment. The PEUC claim will be filed, and then they need to file for the weekly certifications. So it could be a big lump sum, and it could be individual payments. It truly depends on how they file those weekly certifications.
Okay. Can you please outline the process to apply for an extension for our employees with a job attached status? If I'm job attached with a return to work date, do I need to apply for other jobs even if it goes beyond the 12 weeks?
So in order to be job attached, there has to be new employment from the last time that they filed unemployment and exhausted benefits up until right now. If there is new employment, then we still have to make sure that they will be returning to their regular amount of hours within 12 weeks, and that employer paid at least 50% of the base period wages on the claim against which we're putting the PEUC. So there's a few things to check. If they do have intervening employment, they can answer yes to that question, and we will determine it on our end.
Excellent. So if one got a job while waiting for the extension, will the unemployment benefits retro pay for the time we were qualified but was never paid for back then?
I believe that's the same question we answered earlier. The program starts March 29th. So yes, there is a potential it will go back that far.
Thank you. I was on UI and was finished with my 26 weeks April 4th. How does the 13-week extension start for me? I read only people affected by COVID will receive these benefits, but I've been applying for work, got part-time hours earlier, so COVID has definitely affected me to not be able to find work.
So with this program, PEUC is a part of the CARES Act, but it is not only for individuals that are unemployed due to COVID. It is for anyone that is not eligible for regular unemployment benefits. They've exhausted all of their rights. It does not have to be that they lost their job due to COVID.
Thank you. This next one, I think, refers to, we did have a server issue earlier this week that caused payments to be delayed. I'm not sure if this is Amy and Lori, I'm not sure if this is your area, but if you can answer it, I'd appreciate it. If not, we'll try to find the answer and get it to folks in the questions and answers that we send out later. but this person says they haven't received a payment this week. So will they get 2 payments next week?
Yes, they very well could. We did have happy news this morning. Everything has been fixed and payments were released today. So if claimants were due a payment and don't have anything stopping it, they can go out online and they will see payment as the weekly certification will show payment and it'll show today's date. That is when it leaves our hands. It still takes a little while to get to their debit card or direct deposit or whatever their payment method is. So please be patient and hope to see that by the beginning of next week.
Perfect. You can open a claim every 12 months, right?
Yes, each claim is 52 weeks long. So if a claim is filed, a year later they could try again.
Thank you. Will the PEUC be listed under the tab unemployment claim? I believe that means in the yui.wio.gov system.
So right now we are still programming the screens, and I am not sure with 100% certainty of where they will be going to file for this. So please wait for future guidance and we will give you the exact navigation path.
Thank you. How can I find out when my regular unemployment ended? I know I received a notice at the start, but I misplaced it in the confusion of this process.
So for any individual that has had a prior Wyoming unemployment claim, if they're not on the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program right now, the most recent unemployment claim that they've had will show on their claim summary screen online, and it actually shows the benefit year begin date as well as the benefit year end date. That lets them know whether or not they will meet the requirements. That benefit year end date has to be July of 2019 or more recent.
Thank you. If I've filed my continued claims since I ran out of benefits until I went back to work, will I still have to reapply for this?
Yes, per the federal guidance, everyone has to reapply in order to get the PEUC program.
Thank you. Will the PEUC start from the time of the application or from when benefits were exhausted? This is kind of going back again to that backdating, I believe.
And that really depends on which happened more recently, because even though the program started on March 29th, if that claim didn't run out until April 25th, we can't double pay. So whichever is more recent and when they started meeting the requirements.
Right, so to clarify on that, the PEUC began March 29th, so the earliest that the backdating could start would be March 29th, even if their claim was exhausted in January, correct?
Yep, correct.
Thank you. Can you file for PEUC if you're down to one part-time job? One of the jobs I lost was a substitute teacher. My other part-time job for the census is running out at the end of June.
They're more than welcome to apply for the program. We do have to determine that with their remaining part-time job, we have to make sure they're still working less than 35 hours a week and earning less than what they would qualify for on unemployment. Otherwise, they're not considered to be unemployed.
Correct. When I log in, the banner advises me watch for a PUA 25 form to tell you that your claim is being processed. Where should I look for the PUA 25 form? And this is a PUA question rather than a PEUC question, but is that something you can answer?
Absolutely. So there is a banner on our website. It only applies to the individuals that have applied for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. If anyone is eligible for the regular unemployment program or PEUC, disregard that message. But you can find any document that we have sent to you in your correspondence tab that's on the website. So when you sign in, you, just like you would go to file a unemployment claim or file your continued claim or see your inquiry screens, there's a tab for correspondence and everything will be shown there.
Perfect, thank you. I have a week claim that status came back exhausted benefits. Will I still get to claim that week once the PEUC is activated?
For the weeks that have already been filed but were not paid, such as this one that says exhausted, yes, there's a potential that this program will go back and cover it, again, as long as it was from March 29th forward and they met the requirements.
Thank you. My job attached unemployment ended at the end of March and my benefits were exhausted. I was told to file as I normally would until the system is updated. Since I was claiming 0 job search contacts, have I lost the potential for back pay?
So we would have to look at the end date of that job attachment, and as soon as those 12 weeks ran out, from that point forward, if there was no intervening employment, the individual would have needed to have at least 2 work searches each week, or they would not be payable weeks.
Thank you. I've been filing continuously since my employment ran out in March, waiting for the 13-week extension. Are you using the same system to get the information for the PEUC claim?
Yes, we are.
And that's, again, that's the yui.yo.gov, or you can call the phone claims as well to the regular UI number. After the July 26th PEUC end date, do we have to reapply for the 39-week PUA benefit, or do we automatically receive it as long as we continue to file our weekly continued claims? If you need me to.
So the order of programs, they were implemented out of order. Individuals should file for regular unemployment first, then the PEUC, after that PUA. However, PUA is only available for individuals that are directly unemployed due to COVID every single week, and pretty soon that won't be the case. Things are starting to open back up in the state of Wyoming.
Great. If we receive back pay of FPUC on regular UI and regular UI expires before the implementation of PEUC, such that there's a gap between regular UI and PEUC, will you have the system programmed so that the second back pay of FPUC will occur at the time of the PEUC back pay?
Yes, those should pay out at the exact same time. When the weeks are processed, it would process for both programs.
Thank you. If you opened a claim in Wyoming and exhausted it in April, you would not be able to open another claim in another state until the 52 weeks are over, correct?
That is not correct. As soon as their balance is exhausted in the state of Wyoming, if they have available wages in another state, they can file in that state. They need to determine whether or not they're monetarily eligible there, but they can file.
Thank you. Are you hopeful the PEUC program will be implemented by next week?
So at this point in time, it is still being programmed, and we still have to test it. I do not have a date to give you. We're hopeful it will be sooner than later, but I do not have a date.
And then going back to the explanation on that, it is a very complex system, and we want to make sure that we're not overpaying folks or underpaying folks, so they have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get that corrected. So we're doing our best to make sure that it is exactly correct when we get it rolled out. Does being a parent of a school-aged child qualify you for the PUA in Wyoming?
Potentially, again, PUA is for individuals that are not eligible for regular unemployment. We would have to determine that first and make sure that they're unemployed as a direct result of COVID-19.
Thank you. Should we file weekly claims or wait until the PEUC is implemented?
It truly doesn't matter either way. If those weeks are already out there, we can reprocess them when PEUC is in the system. And if they have not filed for them yet, they can wait until we have that application and it's in the system. It really does not matter either way.
And then one clarifying point on that is, if you do need to have record of job searches, be sure to continue to do those until you file for the PEUC, correct?
Sorry, Ty, was that a question? I thought you were clarifying something.
Oh, well, I was trying to clarify, but also make sure that I'm not giving incorrect information. So if somebody is waiting to file for PEUC, but needs to have record of job searches in that time when they're unemployed, they do need to continue to do those job searches and keep a record of those so that when the PEUC is open for the backdating, they'll have that record of those job searches, correct?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. The 7/26, the July 26th end date refers to the FPUC, the FPUC, not the PEUC, correct?
Correct. The program end date for PEUC is the day after Christmas. It's December 26th of 2020.
Okay, and then I'm not sure if this is a question that you can answer or not. If it's not one that we have an answer to, again, we'll try to get it answered for the questions and answers that we post online and send to you. But the question is, due to the delay in the payment this week, will child support still be credited to May, being we do not see our payment until next week, which will be June?
The child support file was going to be sent again today along with the payments. So that will already be taken care of. It's not an issue.
Okay, thank you. At this point, that's all the questions that we have. If you have any more questions, please get them in pretty quick on the questions and answers function down at the bottom of the screen. You may have to hover your mouse over the screen to get it to pop up, but use that little Q&A feature to send us a question. I'm not seeing any more yet. I will, there might be one coming in. I will use the time to let folks get a couple more questions in there to remind you that we are posting the video of this, the recording of this town hall, as well as all the others on our town hall page. And I think you can see the link to it on your screen. You can get to it from our wyomingworkforce.org website. Go to the little sidebar up at the top and you click on the virtual town hall series, and that'll bring up the town hall series page. And you can watch this recording and then all the other town halls, as well as read the questions and answers from those previous town halls. And we'll get these questions and their answers up there as soon as we can too. And we will also email them to you at the email address you used to register. We do have a few more questions, and we've got a little more time left. So is the PEUC going to be another form to fill out as well as the regular weekly claim? So we'll have two forms to fill out each week.
No, it's the same process. As soon as the initial claim for PEUC has been filed, just turn in the weekly certifications online and that's it, and meet all the other requirements.
Thank you. For those of us who have exhausted our benefits and still haven't found work, are you paid your regular UI from your previous paid claim amount with an additional $600?
Yes, the regular amount for the PEUC is the exact same as the regular amount from the most recent regular unemployment claim, plus the 600 for FPUC until July 25th.
Thank you. Do you get the back payments all at once? And I think we've already answered this one, but it came in again. Do you get the back payments all at once, or are they gradually given out? And again, I think we already had that question, but if you could please restate it.
Absolutely. It truly depends on how each individual is filing. If those weekly certifications are already in the system and processed at one point in time, then they would all pay at the same time. But if they are filed at different points in time, then there are going to be multiple payments. It's going to depend on each claimant.
Thank you. I was homeschooling my child due to the shutdown. I was unemployed and exhausted benefits April 1, or in April. I continued to look for work to work around my child's needs. Wouldn't that be a direct result? Or would the separation from my last employer need to be due to the shutdown to be considered a direct result?
Again, for the PEUC program, it does not have to be a direct result of COVID-19. The individual simply has to have exhausted all rights to regular unemployment and be unemployed through no fault of their own.
Thank you. The 13 weeks start from the day the benefits are exhausted, correct? Those who haven't filed weekly, then the 13 weeks start at that time? I'm not sure. I may need to restate that question. So do the 13 weeks start from the day that the benefits have been exhausted?
The furthest back that this program goes is March 29th. So if the exhaustion date of regular unemployment was prior to March 29th, it cannot go back any further. If they exhausted more recently, we will go from that more recent date forward.
Thank you. My child support was not taken from my regular benefits. Will it be taken from the PEUC payment?
Yes, it will be taken out. Child support and federal taxes come out of each of these programs.
Thank you. And then as a question on that, do you have to opt in to have the taxes taken out, or are they automatically removed?
Those are going to be however each individual claimant set it up. The system should honor what is already there, but if they want to change it, they can go online and do so.
Thank you. I was eligible for regular unemployment, not PUA, but my claim just exhausted last week. I'm continuing to look for work and file my weekly claim. Is there anything else I need to be doing at this time?
No, this seems to be the right program in that situation. So you would need to wait until you see the comments on wyomingworkforce.org for the program being ready and apply at that point in time. In the meantime, keep up the requirements, make sure you're able and available, that you're actively seeking work, and that you've registered for work.
Thank you. And we had a question. Somebody asked if their questions or concerns have been answered already, can they leave the webinar and still be kept updated on any questions that come in after? Yes, we're gonna keep track of all these questions and answer them, and then we'll have those posted on that town hall page, as well as email them to everybody who registered. So you don't have to stick around and listen to all of the answers. If you do want to come back later and look at them, we'll have them posted on that town hall page. It may take a couple of days to get everything up, but we'll try to have those out there for you to go back and look at. A clarification from a previous question, those who start to file their weekly claims is when their 13 weeks extensions start, is what I mean. Does that make sense?
That's kind of a tricky question. There's multiple things that we look at. The program itself goes back to March 29th, but we have to see when each individual exhausted their regular rights to unemployment, and we have to make sure they met all of the requirements. We have to look at the last date that they were employed. So it will not be the same date for every circumstance.
And then there would be, there could possibly be a gap as well if their regular unemployment ended before March 29th, because the PEUC starts on March 29th and goes forward from there, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I was told that we shouldn't file our weekly claims if our benefits have been exhausted. I've heard many different answers. Can you please clarify this again? And I think
Can you repeat that one, please?
yeah, and I think to clarify that question, I think it goes back to should you wait until the PEUC is ready to go to file your claims, or should you continue doing the continued claims even though the PEUC is not ready? They said that they've been told that they should not file the weekly claims if their benefits have been exhausted, but I've also heard the opposite. So this person's asking if there's a clarification on that. Which would you prefer that folks do? Either wait until the PEUC is ready or just continue to file the continued claims, even though they've exhausted their claim?
So if the individual has not filed for any unemployment weekly certifications for at least 6 weeks, they will not be able to file any weekly certifications at this time until we get the PEUC program in the system. The system will consider them to be out of current filing, so they will be forced to wait. I would prefer they wait to file those weekly certifications. However, keep track of all of the work searches that you've done, the dates that you did those work searches, all the important information that you will need to provide when that is available. That will be the easiest way for those weeks to be certified, is to wait for the program to be implemented.
Well, thank you. And that does wrap up the questions. That's all the questions we've gotten from folks out there. Again, we'll have these questions and answers posted on our virtual town hall page. We have frequently asked questions on our website. They're organized into different tabs to try to keep the number of questions to a minimum, make it easier to find them on our resources page at wyomingworkforce.org/COVID-19-resources/FAQ, or you can get there from the wyomingworkforce.org page. Click on the frequently asked questions tab up in the sidebar, and a lot of questions in there. There are a ton of questions and their answers in the virtual town hall series page. Also, the call center has an automated system that you can ask a question and it'll help you find your answers. The number for that again is 888-674-7699. And a lot of these questions can be answered there. If your question can't be answered by that automated system, it'll kick you over to a representative who can answer your question. If it's a more complex question, it may kick you back to the UI, Unemployment Insurance Division, and you may have to leave a message. They do have a long list of people to get back to with those more complex issues or things where they need to get into your UI account. And only those UI folks can do that. But they do have a lot of questions. So it may be a couple days before they get back to you, but they're working through those as quickly as they can, as well as trying to get this PEUC system up and running. So we will get it to you as quickly as we possibly can. Keep an eye on the wyomingworkforce.org website for updates on the PEUC system and when it's ready to go. And we will keep you updated as best we can as things go. And thank you for tuning in. If any more questions do come in, or if we find that we have some that weren't asked in this session, we will try to get those added to those questions that we post online and email to you. Thank you again for tuning in. Good luck with everything, and it's, you know, it's encouraging to see that the state is opening back up. Hopefully everybody has no trouble getting back to work, and thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. We're trying to do one of these town halls each week, so we may see you back next week for another town hall. Thank you for joining us.